Hey folks, my guest today is Chad Ingram. He's had two successful exits. His last one was called Jump, a customer engagement application acquired by reputation.com. He quit school during his final semester to become an entrepreneur and he's never looked back. He's the founder and CEO today of a company called distro.io. He's got two kids and an incredible wife. He's an off-road race car driver and loves to solve problems using technology. Chad, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Right. So are you a software engineer by trade or no?
No, so when I quit school, I immediately started teaching myself, time YouTubing and just buying books, and quickly learned, like, though I could do it, I was slow and it just wasn't for me. So I hired developers.
Interesting. So what is distro and what are people paying you for?
Yeah, so Distro is essentially a marketplace for American tech companies, now American tech companies, to hire qualified software developers around the globe and to be able to pay them. So Distro itself is a marketplace where you could find and hire. And our technology is really based around the payment infrastructure to be able to issue payments to other countries.
Okay, so tell me, give me an example of a customer using you and how they might issue payments to other countries.
Yeah, so let's say a customer is a VC-backed tech company, and they've got a team of 10 software developers, and they're struggling to keep them. They're struggling to afford them. They're struggling to find anybody to apply here in the US. And so, but they also don't want to hire a dev shop. See, we're the alternative to a dev shop. So their only option is, before Distro is to go hire a dev shop. And so, but that comes with a lot of disadvantages, like, lack of control. You don't know who you're hiring. They're not like in your team infrastructure. They don't really understand the purpose of the products they're building, things like that. And so anyway, let's say you want to hire 5 more developers. So you would be able to use Distro and to, do your own interviews and decide if a team member is the right team member for you. And once you make a hire, that hire is placed through Distro. We don't have any like long-term agreements, just a user agreement. And so you would simply hire 5 developers after you've interviewed them and found that they were a good fit for your team, and they work directly for you. And so,
and how do you guys make money in this model?
So what we do is we take a rake off of the payroll number. So when a developer is introduced to one of our customers, they just see one automated number to say, like, all right, this is the cost of this developer. And that's the all-in cost. And so they don't have to worry about like a subscription fee or payroll taxes or anything like that. So they just say, all right, this is the one person, and this person is, let's say, 11,000 a month, and they've got 15.
Is that the average of the jobs you've placed? Is it about 11 grand a month?
I would say, yeah, between 11 and 12, depending on experience. So these are some very high quality people, like we just recently had, a tech startup that hired somebody who was working for Coinbase, but through a dev shop.
Mm-hmm. And so how much of that 11,000 will you keep?
So we'll end up keeping it. It depends on the geography. So usually in more Asian countries, in India, we can take a little bit more, but it really just depends on the geography. But we try to get to 25% generally.
Okay. So you're taking about maximum $3,000 on an $11,000 a month person. That's a developer, someone hired through the platform.
Per developer per month, correct.
On forever in perpetuity?
Perpetuity, yeah.
That's a lot. So do people, so it kind of is a subscription fee in that sense that it doesn't end, or do people only hire these developers for 3 months and they stop?
Great question. So we only do long-term full-time work. So if your intention is to find somebody for 2 months to do a quick widget or something, then we're not a good fit. These developers are willing to leave because these are incredibly high quality people. They're leaving a great career where they're working. But they solving for the developers, they really want to work directly with the tech company in the US. They don't want to go through a project manager, in their country at a dev shop. They want to learn from the CTO.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your Founder Path dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of Founder Path, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here, and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. So how many companies today do you actively have at least one developer, inside of?
I think we're 11 or 12. So
okay,
right now, we founded the company last fall. And so we're less than a year out. And then we started selling like earlier this year. And it's going really well. So we're just a hair under 2 million of ARR currently.
That's great. So let's just reverse engineer that math, right? So 12 folks, how many live developers do you have right now into those 12 companies?
Good question. So we are 25 or 26.
Okay,
and
25 or 26.
Yeah.
And so I guess you're getting that run rate because you're taking 26 times, 2,500 per each one. You're doing $60,000-$70,000 a month in revenue there.
That would be top line. So that's the full marketplace charge. So like the full salaries and everything. So the way we recognize revenue is we take the whole thing in.
Well, that's GMV. That's
exactly. So
that's a little on the edge, but I mean, it's look, if you call yourself a marketplace, the term for that is obviously GMV, but your rake is you're almost at $1 million rake run rate.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's just been kind of an interesting conversation with some VCs that we started to meet with about, how GAAP plays into this. Like, do we, because we don't escrow the whole money. We actually receive everything. And so because of that, technically we do have to, recognize the whole thing, but then that plays on valuations. Like, how does that mess with the valuation? If we look at the entire gross number, as revenue versus the take on everything. So we'll see how it shakes out, as we haven't raised institutionally.
Well, what valuation numbers are folks throwing in front of you?
That's a good question. I don't know if I should answer that question because we're in process right now. But
well, it's only gotten worse over the past 3 months. I'd be shocked if it's gotten better.
Yes, but I would say it got the worst a month ago. Everyone was the most spooked a month ago. Right now, everyone's like kind of, well, all right, the market has stopped really falling and we're just kind of sitting and waiting. And then most of the early stage investors are saying, well, it's affecting the late stage guys. It's not affecting us so much. But I will say this. Multiples are down. We all know that. So multiples are down. So, I think that it's going to settle, somewhere between 15 plus at this stage.
Mm-hmm. How much is 15 million post money?
Pre-money. Yeah.
Pre-money. How much are you looking to raise?
So that's a good question. So we think that 3 will get us to where we need to go. We could definitely take a smaller number because, a little bit more context. We're profitable right now.
How profitable, if you don't mind me asking, how much goes to the bottom line monthly?
So we'll net, 15 to 20,000 a month right now.
A month. Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So one of the advantages that we have is that we can utilize our own infrastructure, to save money with a global team. And so though we have we've got a, decent headcount here in the US for our size, there's like 5 or 6 of us, one person's part-time, but then we also have team members also, offshore, nearshore, through distro. And so we can take advantage of those same economics. And so our payroll number is significantly lower than somebody else in our same, phase.
Mm-hmm. And so there's 5 of you full-time today though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the US, and we have 3
How many
more.
total?
So there would be 8 of us so far.
8. Okay. Are you the sole founder? You own 100%?
So I have 2 co-founders. And great co-founders. Last company I founded, I owned the whole thing initially, and that was a little stressful. I should have had co-founders. So we've got 2 great co-founders, CTO and a COO.
You split equity evenly, or that you have a little more?
No, I have more for sure.
Okay. Do you have more than both?
Yeah. For sure. So I initially funded the company. I brought them in after, kind of developing the idea initially, but they're really great people. And, both of them were kind of at that point where they're like, I need to go do something that I've got ownership of, as opposed to just joining the employment line. And they've done really well. They've been. How
much have you did you put in personally to the business? If you don't mind me asking.
So about 250 is what I said.
So like, how did you get so rich? Like, people are going to be wondering, where'd you get all this money from originally?
For me, so I sold 2 companies prior to this. So,
okay, there you go.
Racing isn't cheap either. Yeah. So great lessons learned. It was great lessons learned. But I we sold right before the pandemic, and then was forced to just kind of be at home, and it was like, all right, now we're going to be home with the family. So great.
Interesting.
Then, we got really, really bored, and I was like, no, we got to do this again. And I had this idea because, so much of my network, they're just struggling so bad. I mean, talking to a friend who this is actually one of my co-founders' friends, but he's founder of another company, and he had a senior software developer who wasn't even like crazy. He had like 7-8 years of experience. And he was making like 150, and he got picked up by Twitter for over 300 grand to work remotely in the same geography. Like, how do you can't compete with that? Like, there's really nothing you can do about that. And it's only getting worse.
So how are you able to get those engineers? Just because you're going to India or Argentina or somewhere else?
Yeah. So we're finding, our first cohort of customers, like earlier this year, we suspected it was going to be more of a cost play. So we started going to India, really seeding our database to get more applicants and developers. But what we found is that it wasn't a money thing. Though they're saving money, they were really concerned about, just getting the right team members with the right experience and time zones. So we're finding that most of our customers right now and the ones who are in process to hire, because we have more that haven't hired yet. There's like another 6 or 7 right now we're working with on that side. And they're focused on South America. So we've been really successful in South America, but it's more expensive for sure.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Interesting. What I'm trying to figure out is like the way you describe the business, like you're part remote.com, which we use. That's for managing our whole team in any country around the world, but they don't help us hire. Yeah. But they don't help us hire and find engineering talents. Like the other side of your business is like part recruiting firm effectively. And I assume you do onboarding and tests, and you do like ERP related stuff or like applicant tracking systems. Sorry stuff. Right.
Kind of like, so our product is getting like, we're in process to build some of that. So there's some like ATS, like basic features, but we're not wanting to build like a full CRM for that. Like we're trying to keep it as essential and simple as possible. Like we don't want to chase a lot of different product, themes. And so, for us, like, it's like, all right, nail the complication of hiring somebody, like getting an offer, onboarding, that sort of thing, like nail that, and also nail the payments. But certainly you could go to Deal or Remote or something and try and do that if you knew how to gather the right candidates and assess them and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a strange question here. I'm going to see how courageous you are, if you want to play ball or not. Tell me how someone would go around you. If someone wants to use your playbook for finding engineers in Argentina, right? What would they do?
Honestly, their only option right now is to go to either Fiverr or Upwork and then try and circumvent them. But
that's what you're doing.
No, that's not what we do.
How do you do it?
So we've figured out a pretty awesome way to hire in-country native recruiters. And so,
Oh,
so who I didn't give you in our headcount. So we're much more successful in doing that than us. Like, okay, so one of our competitors, they started out right before the pandemic. They grew through the pandemic, which was great for them. Really lucky time. But they've really focused on a different aspect of technology. They've focused on more the assessment side, and they're doing that because they are spending their way through marketing, digital marketing, AdWords, Facebook, whatever, to gather applicants. But the problem is that only the less qualified people are applying. The really qualified people are happy where they are. They're being recruited, right?
So Chad, how do you find that rockstar recruiter in Argentina who's going to go find the best engineers? How are you finding the recruiter?
So through our recruiters currently. And so we have a small team of recruiters that are able to do it natively. The problem is if I was to do it here in the US and they see that I'm in the US,
it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. How did you get the first one in Argentina? So your answer to my question was, well, we already have a network and they bring in other recruiters, but how did you get the first one? Again, just use Argentina as an example, or India, whatever you want to use.
I don't know if I want to share.
Okay, I didn't know if you would play ball for this.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But the funny thing is, once you have a recruiter, they can get another recruiter, right?
Of course. So, but how do you get the first one is the question.
I know. That's our secret sauce.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think people are going to go around you. There's a lot of work. They'd rather just pay you $2 or $3K a month to do it.
It is, but there's another thing. So a lot of people, so all VCs I've talked to, even some customers that have asked us, well, like, circumvention is your biggest problem, right? Well, we haven't had that happen yet. And at some point it might happen, but they always think about that from the American tech leadership perspective, which is, well, if I want that person directly, I can just go get them, right? And, if I circumvent, distro somehow, but you're not thinking also about the perspective of the software developer who needs stability, who has a very expensive lifestyle, because these people are making a lot of money for their countries, right? And so they need to be able to trust that they're working with a company who's not just going to disappear one night and not pay them.
Yeah.
And so we provide like a lot of comfort and stability to them. So anyway, they don't want to circumvent. It would be very, very infrequent.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense. Hey, look, we're out of time. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, last book that you read.
Ooh, the last book that I read, actually, it's right here. Seth Godin.
Ah, good one. Classic.
Good one. Yeah.
Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
This is going to sound so cliche, but I love Elon Musk.
Not cliche. That's cool.
Sounds super, super cliche, but yeah.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building distro besides distro?
Right now, I would probably say SEMrush. We're using that, as we're starting to get into digital marketing.
Yeah. Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
5 usually.
5. Okay. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married with children.
How many kiddos?
I've got 2 kids, a 3-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl.
Oh man, you're a busy guy. How old are you?
I'm 34.
34. Last question. Excuse me. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
People's opinions don't matter.
Guys, there you have it. Distro launched just in the fall last year, specifically to help you find great engineers all around the world, hire them in their country, pay them, manage them all through Distro. He's got 12 companies using him right now who are actively employing 26 developers he has found for them through the platform. The average salary there is $11,000 per developer. So the GMV going through Chad's marketplace is effectively over a $2 million run rate. His take rate is they try to get to 25%. So their take rate is about to cross about $1 million run rate. He's hearing evaluations of the marketplace, thinking about raising 3 million on a 15 pre. We'll see if he gets it done, but profitable today, taking 20 grand to the bottom line every month. He's been there. He's done this before, invested 250K of his own money in the business to get it going. We'll see where it goes next. Chad, thanks for taking us to the top.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.